Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second ever live broadcast on the Plein Air Network, which sounds kind of funny here. But I am so glad you're here. So I have got a very special guest today, and we're going to talk about what makes a winning painting and what judges are looking for. So I think it'll be very insightful to those of you that are looking to enter art contests and whatnot, and get a little insight to what the judge is thinking is going to be great. I am Meg Glasgow. I own Finer Frames here in Eagle, Idaho, and I also am the creative force behind the Plein Air Festival. It's a week-long outdoor plein air festival happening the first week of June in beautiful Eagle, Idaho. So anyway, I want to introduce our very special guest, Miss Bonnie Griffith. I've known Bonnie for several years now, and I think you've been in the festival every year, haven't you?
I missed the first year.
Missed the first year. Well,
I missed the first year.
As I recall, you were a grand champion one year, and that's what we've kind of, I really took notice of your incredible work and did a little bit of research about you, and you have been a professional painter now for 25 years.
That's right.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. And you are our festival juror this year for the festival. So thank you for joining us for that. And you've also judged art shows all over the West. You've been executive director at, the museum in Montana that you go back and work for from time to time. You're everywhere, girl.
The Waterworks Art Museum.
Yes, you are everywhere. So I'm so grateful that you've joined us for the festival this year and agreed to be our juror. You were also teaching a workshop, a one-day pastel plein air workshop too. And so we'll give more people more information at the end. But so I want to know from you, my dear, when you are judging an art show, can you kind of describe the process and maybe from a standpoint of really making artists understand kind of what you're looking for?
Sure. Meg, here's the deal. I'm looking for the type of work that I want to put in a show. It's the same criteria, what I want to promote in my work for a show, as well as what I'm seeing in a show from the artist. So what I like to do is to go through and do an overview of all the work. And, at that point, there's some pieces that are going to get eliminated pretty quickly. But in a show like this, there's really a lot of good work. And so everything gets a good hard look. And, I take it really seriously. I know that, people put their hearts out into putting out the best work they can, and it's meaningful to them to be able to be in a show. And it's the same way I feel when I put out my work. So basically what I do is I look through everything, and then I've got a scorecard that I use, and I go through the paintings and score them. And the scores are based on 5 different bits of criteria.
Okay, I'm dying to know. So tell me, what elements are you looking for in your scorecard?
These are the elements. So composition. You got to have a great composition, and
yes, and
then the arrangement of elements of design. So you've got to have good values. You've got to have a good line. Your color has to be good. There should be texture. Number 3 is the use of your medium. You've got to have good use of medium. Whatever.
What do you mean? Hold on. I want to dive deeper into that. What do you mean, good use of your medium?
You have to know how to utilize the medium that you're choosing to use for your paintings.
So are you talking about brush strokes, about just techniques, blending, those kind of things?
Yeah, all of those elements, and just how you use it, and how you apply it to the board or the paper or the canvas. And then originality. Originality is a big thing. It's not just about replicating a beautiful scene. It's you taking it that extra step and really putting some wow into it.
Oh, I like that.
Go ahead, Meg.
Oh, just I like the creativity, right? That you are an artist and you can embellish a bit, right?
Yeah. I love to see. I mean, there's some fantastic photorealism painters, but I love to see that little impressionistic approach, and just having somebody put their spin on it. It's part of it. It makes it original, and then of course presentation. And presentation is really, really, really important. It's kind of the tiebreaker. If you've got two paintings that are out there that are really top notch, and you've got one that's framed well, it's matted well if that's the case. However, it's presented,
right?
It's really key. So I can't stress enough.
You just are speaking to my heart, babe. I'm like, because I, of course, have a
I just a show last year that had some. I mean, it was 300 and some works of absolutely incredible work, and it came down to a couple of paintings for best of show that one of them had some real issues with. I mean, like the matting was. There was some dirt on the matting, and it was not cut well. I mean, it's just so important. I mean, it lost
it matters
for that person.
It matters. You know what? We see that all the time in here, that when artists bring us their work, it clearly they don't appreciate their artwork or treat it as carefully as we do as framers. And that's one thing. I'm so glad you brought that up, that I wish more artists knew to really properly preserve and care for their artwork, mount it properly, make sure that everything that's touching the artwork is archival and reversible. And because you got to think about that end user and that buyer, and you don't want to get sloppy and make shortcuts that are going to endanger the care of that artwork down the road. Yeah,
and I think people sometimes have the misconception that you have to go to a box store basically to buy your frames and things. And sometimes you don't save that much money, and maybe you don't even save any money by the time you take it to a professional framer or buy professional products and do it yourself. But
I'll just throw in there too that with the festival, we always offer discounts to artists, right? We offer a special wholesale price because we care, and we want your artwork to be represented. And so guys can message me and talk about that later. I should also mention too, for those of you that are on, and I see you are, hey Renee, hey Lori, ask questions. We'll get on and answer them as time goes on. So if you have any questions for Bonnie, make sure that you post them here. So good stuff, girl. So, artwork is so personal, right? And so I know even for you, for all of us that are big art fans. So what is it about that you respond to, that your heart really responds to when you're taking a look at artwork?
Well, it's color and it's composition and the design. I think that's what I'm attracted to. I mean, I love all types of work. I love abstract work. I love impressionistic. And I do love photorealistic work. And I just love to see work done well. And any of the styles can be done well. I mean, you got to follow the rules. I mean, there's a point where you can kind of break a rule and do something really creative, but you got to follow the basic rules to make a good painting.
Right. It's got to work, right? It's got to be visually pleasing. It doesn't have to appeal to everybody, but there are basic fundamentals that they got to hit.
I got to say too, that we're working with humans, right? So, and we're all human. And by using, when I judge, I use those scorecards because it helps eliminate some of that subjectivity to the jurying process. It's not me picking my favorite type of art. It's looking at each one and picking out the elements and deciding, this is really, this abstract, for instance, really deserves to win because it is so good.
Yeah.
Because it has all those elements in it. So it helps take some of that subjectivity out of it. But you do have to understand that we're humans, and subjectivity does enter into probably the final decisions.
Sure. That's the way it goes. That's the way
it is, Yeah. And I read a lot of jurors' notes, and I see that printed, more often than not. But I think it's just fair to know that.
Yeah. As well as helpful. Anytime any artist gets a feedback like that, it's helpful.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that is kind of interesting too is that I worked with a juror one time on a show in the Seattle area, and she there was some issues with the online process of jurying, and so she had to go back and redo them. And there was about 20% of the paintings that she originally chose that she didn't choose in the second cut.
Oh, interesting.
And she said, and I asked her about that, and she said, it really depends on the time of day, how you're feeling. There's that element in it.
All right, so that's helpful for everybody watching. It's like,
yeah,
we just hope you're in a really good mood that day when you're judging the show.
So I always try to go in with a really good frame of mind, but I think different things have different impact on people when you're looking at work.
I think so, yeah.
So, it was interesting to see that process.
So then tell me, what, for those watching and the live broadcast, and we're also going to rebroadcast this as well. So what do you wish painters would know before submitting their artwork for judging?
Well, the tips that I have are, always enter your best work. I think enter your best work. Don't paint for what you think the judge wants you to paint. Paint from your heart and paint what you're good at, and it'll come through as a great painting. So the other tip is, use the best products that you can afford, because products do make a difference. The type of paper you use, if you're working in pastels, the type of paper you're using, the type of pastels, it has a big impact. Same thing with canvases and boards, and find out what's magic for you and use that. Again, presentation counts. Do your best presentation. Work from life as often as you can. Work plein air, work from still lifes. Sketch and draw more than you paint. It's the basis. Not everybody.
Just real quick, what do you think about people? What do you think about people going out ahead of time and kind of scoping out locations before they start their competition painting?
I think it's a great idea. I do it. I mean,
like,
find out where you want to paint, and go out there at the time of day you want to paint, and paint. Yes. Go out and paint in the best light that you can. Don't wait till noon to go out and paint. Go paint at 6:30 in the morning. Go out and paint at 8:30 at night.
Then you can go work out your composition, especially for the quick draw, right? It's like you want to go out, kind of scope stuff out, kind of have a game plan, maybe sketch out so you understand your composition and how that's going to work before, so you don't stress yourself out for those quick draws.
Exactly.
Great.
And
awesome. Good stuff.
Sketching and drawing, and of course, like I said, paint early, paint late, and do sketches, do thumbnails of the area you're going to sketch. But one of the problems with plein air painting is that, we have this broad view. I mean, you can almost see 180 degrees, right?
Right.
But
scary.
You can't put that on a little 8x10 canvas or board. So, you really have to hone in on the area that you're looking at. So that's all important stuff to kind of keep in your mind. And there's, all these things, and then you got to dress appropriately. Don't go out at 6 a.m. in January and think that you're it's going to be dark.
Right.
But,
or go near the river in early June without bug spray.
Exactly.
All right, good stuff. I think that's really going to be helpful to those watching. So, hey, if you guys like that, comment below or share this video too. We want you to do that as well. So now I know, Bonnie, that you, as a professional painter for all these years, you travel all over the West doing these plein air competitions and whatnot. And I was just wondering for our audience, is there any other festivals that are worth people might want to take a look at?
Well, I think, first of all, I love the fact that we've got a festival of this caliber right in our backyard. So yay, Meg. But Driggs, Idaho has a great festival, and they have a gal that's organizing their festival now that's, I think, in her second year. and she's very interested in making it something unique, and so that's a fun one, and that's the very end of July.
Okay.
And I love going down into Utah and painting, because I was an artist in residence down on the Grand Staircase a few years ago, and so I really got to know that area, certainly not as well as people that live there, but spending time there, I'm in love with that area and what it offers artists. So Escalante has one of the most fun and best plein air events that lasts about a week long toward the very end of September. And then
nice.
Moab, Utah has another one the second week of October. So you can, and then there's other events in Utah that are kind of around that time. These are open events, so you just apply. You don't have to be juried in. And then there's another great event in kind of central Utah, in like south of Park City in the Wasatch Valley. I think that's what they consider, because they call it the Wasatch Plein Air. But that's a beautiful place to paint. Lots of green, mountains, streams, and so on. And every festival is different. Everybody has different rules, so it's really good to read carefully the prospectuses. Some of them, like Driggs, limit theirs to 70 participants, so it pays. You need to pay attention and get your application in early.
Yeah.
And then there's some great other ones that you can be juried into, and I encourage people to do that. I don't get into every show that I enter, and
really, really,
I think everybody has that experience. So
that's encouraging. I guess it makes those of us that feel a little better about the rejection.
But there's there's some great plein air events down in New Mexico. There's a couple in Montana. I just think go online and look and see who has the events. But those are some favorite ones of mine.
Yeah, good. And then tell me what it is about the EgoPlaner Festival now in its fourth year here. What is it about it that you like about this festival, and what you want other people to know that might be outside the area considering joining us?
Well, I think the uniqueness of it, and I really have to take my hats off to you, Meg, because you really try to put together something that's unique for the visitors, and getting the opportunities for artists to sell their work. And by adding, the whole thing with the art on the island this year, and the auction with the quick draw,
right.
That's kind of some guaranteed money for sales.
Yay!
And so, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's my focus of the whole festival, right? Is to get a platform for artists to showcase their work and their talent in a fun kind of atmosphere, when they can all hang out with their friends and compete and socialize and all of that. And then the other side of my job is building that audience of followers and patrons that want to come to these events, watch the painters, and buy, right? Because my mission is to make artists be more successful, and I think selling is the best way to do that.
Yeah, and I think having the sub events that you do, the nocturnes and the quick draws, those are great, because it gives the artists an opportunity to you've got more chances to sell, more chances to win awards, etc. And of course, I love painting this area. I love the fact that there's the desert, there's the rivers, there's creeks, there's mountains, there's great hills.
Well, and new this year, right? We have expanded the boundaries. It's huge, 1,500 square miles now, between all of Ada County and Canyon County in southwest Idaho here. So it's massive. So it includes rivers, deserts, foothills. It's just a really exciting area that I think gives the artists a lot more freedom to really offer up their best work.
Okay, so maybe I want to just be a participant this year.
No, it's too late for you.
I'm kidding.
No, I think everybody was relieved that you're judging this year, so they know you're out of the competition for the top award.
I don't know about that.
All right. Well, we got some questions here. So Lori Arshahar is asking, How many paintings do you complete each day of the festival? And how many of those do you submit for judging? Lori's never participated before, and she'd like an idea of how much an artist generally produces over the course of the show. Great question, Lori.
That is really a good question. For me, I go out and paint. I mean, my goal is to paint a minimum of one painting a day. Now, working in pastel, that's fairly easy, but it's also easy in other mediums. So I like to go out if I have my options everything lined up and all stars are in a row. I'll go out and paint early in the morning, and then I'll go out and paint later in the afternoon.
Right.
And so, you can go back to the same spot and get totally different paintings.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And I would also add, that's good stuff. I would also add that I know that there are some painters that have won awards, mind you, in this festival in the years past, that have done one painting the entire week and won with. So There's that.
Yeah, and I think, if you do that, you need to keep going back to the same spot. And in some festivals, you're allowed to paint, a larger format. So that does require you going back to the same spot, same time of day, and working on that painting. Because we don't want you taking that painting back to your studio and working on it, with a photo that you've taken of that piece. That's
right. No cheating.
Right.
No cheating. We do have paint police. We do have paint police going around.
Yeah, don't let me catch you cheating.
Checking the studio. I am the studio painting.
Monster.
All right, you heard that, everybody. You heard that. Great question, Lori. I hope that answered your question. So one more thing. I promised everybody early on that I would talk about Bonnie's incredible pastel workshop. You've taught for us several times before, and you've always been very popular, great instructor, real practical in your technical knowledge and your explanation, which is really great. So tell us a little bit about your Sunday workshop. This is going to be Sunday, June 3rd from noon to 8, taking advantage of that late afternoon sunlight in the summer. So that'll be pretty. So tell people what they might expect from your workshop.
Well, it's basic, anybody that comes to my workshops they're gonna hear the basics. I mean, it's all about composition. I mean, it's the elements that I talked about and what makes a good painting. And so that's kind of the first part of the day. And so by doing this workshop starting at noon, the lecture part, if you will, and my demo will be in that part of the day where the light isn't the greatest. And then we're going to focus on getting people out there painting in the evening light and, the late afternoon light and then the evening light and playing with those elements. And so I think that'll be a fun twist on it. And, the one thing with my workshops is I'm not worried about not sharing with people. I'll share whatever I can with somebody because I feel that, that people they deserve to know. And I mean, why not share with them? I mean, if you're so insecure as an instructor that you can't give them information that they need, I mean, come on. So,
amen. And that's what you and I have, we're like-minded in that respect, because I believe that sharing and anytime we can lift each other up, it elevates us all. It makes us all better. And so I love that. I love that about you.
Absolutely.
So I want to go just a second and talk about pastel as a medium for somebody that might have a little bit of art experience, but they're looking kind of experiment with medium. What is about pastel that's so magic for you?
I think it's first of all, it's immediate. You're not mixing color. You don't have to wait for drying time if that happens to be an issue. It's immediate. It's down. The other thing is the color is so intense. I think that's what drew me to the medium to begin with, is the color intensity and just the richness of the medium. So it's kind of a nice, there's not a lot of, you're not mixing, you're not taking time to mix paints.
Right, it moves fast.
Yeah, you can get out there and you can start working very quickly.
Yeah, good.
So
I just want to point out that this gorgeous painting right here behind me, that's one of Bonnie's. It's one of my favorites. I love the depth and the color in that. It's just so dreamy. So yeah, so definitely if you're interested in Bonnie's workshop, we've got it on our website. And if you are interested in joining us at the EgoPlaner Festival, you can find out all the information, the details, schedule, and everything at EgoPlainAir.com. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Bonnie. You did awesome today.
Well,
thanks so much.
Thank you, Meg. I appreciate it. And anybody can message me if they want more information about the workshops and other questions you have. I'm very happy to talk about them, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody in Eagle in the 1st of June.
Yay. Great. Well, Bonnie, thanks again. You were terrific. And I'll be back here again next Friday morning at 9, talking about issues for plein air painters to level up their paint game. So again, Bonnie, thanks so much. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend and you go outside and create something beautiful.
Take good care.
All right.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.